Hello and welcome to the Willamette Writers Author Series, and today we're featuring Marjorie Thelen, who's multi-talented, writes in several genres, and has a blog about writing. So Marjorie, could you introduce yourself?
Yes, I am, as you say, Marjorie Thelen, and I write lighthearted romantic mysteries and science fiction. And I live in Burns, Oregon. My husband and I retired to Burns, Oregon from the East Coast about 6 years ago. And I started my writing career probably in the late 80s. I worked for years in corporate America in marketing, sales, and finance. But I had this desire to explore creativity. And for me, that was in writing. So about 15 years ago, I got serious about writing, and I started finishing books.
So I see from looking at your website that did you start with mysteries, romance, or because I see you also write science fiction. You have some work coming out soon.
But I like mysteries. I read mysteries, and so I decided to try to do like more romantic suspense, and that evolved into mystery. But I write cross genre. And so I tried for years to get published, and the New York publishing gods didn't want my books. So because I'm writing, I don't fit on a bookshelf. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that is, yeah, for New York people, that's, yeah, that, and I think some people don't understand that. They think if you write, something that's both science fiction and, cozy, to New York people, that means it doesn't have a place on a bookshelf. But you said you've had a background in marketing. Have you used that, in how you promote your work?
But I think there's a lot of hype in the marketplace these days, in particular. I do have a platform. I have the website. I have an author page on Facebook. I have the author page on Amazon. I'm on the author page on Goodreads. The main marketing strategy is write more books. And I've heard this over and over again from other writers. So I write more books.
Yeah, I'm in a Kindle, area where people get it, and that's the number one thing I tell people. If you want, to increase your sales, write another book. Have a series, or just, have something more out there.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have a body of work. If you're writing, particularly in commercial fiction, I think literary fiction is a little bit different. I'm not in that market. I don't write literary fiction. But I think you've got to have a body of work. If you look at writers like Robert Parker or Tony Hillerman, they have a body of work. So you read one book and you want to read, if you like the author, you read more.
Now, in terms of the craft of writing, do you have a process you use to write, say, a romance novel or a mystery or science fiction? Do you start with an idea and develop it? Or are you someone that outlines? So, with these different genres, do you use the same process or a different process?
I tried to outline a book one time. Everybody says, "Oh, you got to outline a book," and I wrote about 50 pages of this historical fiction, and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna outline this," and I outlined it, and at the end of it, I said, "This is really a stupid book," and I never went back to it. I can't do that. I also read theoretical physics books, and I knew that I wanted to have a group of physicists in a book. And so I came up with the idea that there would be this top secret physics conference in Bryce Canyon National Park at a very remote backpack site. But the conference organizer doesn't show up. So this team of physicists that are there have to find the conference organizer. But as it turns out, there's an alien that attends this conference too. But I think that's happening a lot more today. Genre people don't write bookshelf categories anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, I remember the first time, time travel came out, the first person to get something that got published, and now it's a genre in romance writing.
Yeah. Well, look at Diana Gabaldon,
Yeah, yeah. Do you ever attend science fiction conventions? Is that a way you promote your work?
No, I don't. I read science fiction a lot when I was a child, in high school and college. I don't read science fiction now, mainly because it's too dark. It tends to be militaristic. I start with an idea like the first. I have a series of 3 books that I'm writing science fiction, but it's very spoofy. It's more like a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Mhm.
So that's where I am, and that's where I start with an idea like what the idea interests me. What is reality? So in my reality, there's good aliens. There's people that are kind of looking out for us, but they're kind of goofy. They don't quite get it right all the time. So that's what I explored. I use writing to explore themes that interest me.
Okay. What kind of character do you have a certain type of main character in your novels, or do you have different types of main characters?
I like to see women. I don't think there's enough strong women characters in genre fiction. Of course, romance has changed that, um, and younger writers, I think, are changing that. I don't like all white people. I try to have like an international cast of characters in all shapes and colors. I like that in characters, and they've got to have a sense of humor. I just can't. When my writing has to entertain me first of all, and then I hope to entertain my readers also. But it's kind of tricky writing humor because they've got to understand your sense of humor, and you know that humor is specific to groups of people.
Now, you've mentioned Goodreads, and you're one of the first people that I've talked to that has mentioned that. Could you kind of say how you use Goodreads, or what you do on Goodreads?
Well, the way Goodreads is set up, you have to review books. Okay, so I have about 40 reviews up there. And then you can set up your author page, and I have my books on Goodreads. And then you set up an author page and you tell something about yourself. You can link in your blogs. I have 2 blogs. I have a website about writing, and then I have a blog called Along Palomino Lane, and that's about my life on the Oregon frontier where I live. So you can link your blogs to it, and Goodreads is still oriented a whole lot toward print publication, and I only publish digitally. I self-publish. I publish digitally. The only book that I have, I try to print through CreateSpace, and this is Far Out Galaxy. And I tried this just to see if I could do it. So on Goodreads, you can only give away print right. You can't give away digital books. So that sort of limits a digital author, and I have not been able to use that particular offering of Goodreads at all.
You say you self-publish. Are you doing that work yourself, or are you bringing in someone to do the cover? How do you manage that?
And I went to Jane Friedman's conference on self-publishing, on her workshop on self-publishing. And she said the cost of self-publishing is coming down, and there's a much lower entry level. So I thought, wow, last time I checked self-publishing, it was pretty expensive. And I had met um, a friend there who is a mystery writer, and she told me about BookBaby, which is a Portland company. And so I talked to BookBaby, and they're what's called an aggregator. So they charge you upfront for their service, and then they do the conversion of your book to software publishing software, and then they also can design your book cover. So I used them on the first 3 books, but then I figured out that I could do it myself. By this time I was reading and talking to everybody I could about self-publishing and how you do it. Found another friend who publishes romance, and she said, "Oh yeah, you can do it yourself." And she has like these guidelines. And so Kindle Direct Publishing also does. So since then, I've published my books myself on Kindle Direct Publishing, and it doesn't, if you know how to do it, it doesn't cost you anything. The majority of your sales is going to come through Amazon. Amazon is a really good deal for self-publishers right now because the percentage that you can earn and the programs they have available. So I have now taken my books off of all other sites, all other distribution sites online, and I only sell through Amazon.
Could you just explain to folks, briefly what Kindle Select is?
Kindle Select means that you can offer your books up to 7 days, I think it is, free if you want to do that. You can put it in another program they have that you can discount the price, like from 5 to 7 days, and it can go like from $4.99 down to 99 cents, and you can be in their lending library, and you get a percentage of that every month if your book is taken out of the library. The one they installed most recently is Kindle Unlimited, and they have a program. Reader pays $9.99 a month, and they can take unlimited books out of about 600,000 books.
Mm.
So that and that you get a percentage on. So there are certain advantages to in that.
Okay, well let's close up now. And so, could you give people information about, your website, your blog, like like addresses that they can find you at?
Okay, my main platform is my website, and that's marjoriethelen.com. I have author page on Facebook. You can find me through Marjorie Thelen, author, I think it is. My Twitter handle is Windybird, and the other one is I'm on Google Plus also. And Google Plus interests me, I think, the most because of the circles that you can establish.
Okay, well, I appreciate taking the time, and I'm going to download some of your books, and I'm interested in seeing your science fiction. So I appreciate your spending the time with me today.
Thank you very much, Bill, for the opportunity.